Biltong. Developed in South Africa and a staple in many African countries, biltong consists of strips of cured, air-dried beef or game. Though its keeping properties are the same, it's a finer form of jerked meat than American jerky. Hi, my name is Tony Skill, and I was born in South Africa, Port Elizabeth. One of the things that I loved about that country was their biltong. Biltong is found everywhere, just like beef jerky is in America. You can buy it at stores, you can get it everywhere, and it is delicious. Today, we're gonna make some, so you at home can do it too. Biltong, let's do it. Now these are all the things you're going to need to make good biltong. Over here, we've got a knife. A nice sharp knife to cut the meat. Here, we have a cutting board in which to cut the meat on. Sanitation is number one in meat preparation, so make sure everything is clean and sanitized. Here, we've got the vinegar, one of the essential ingredients. It helps to cure the meat, give it some flavor. Here, we have some chili powder. You can add this or not add this. At this point, this is just a flavoring agent. You can take this out and trust me, it is still delicious. Over here, we have the skewers. This will be used to pierce the meat so it may hang and dry the old-fashioned way. Here, we have the marinating dish. This is where the meat will go and sit for approximately 2 hours while it marinates in the vinegar and in the seasoning mix. And this is the seasoning mix. This is the magic. This is what gives biltong its flavor, its amazingness, its tastefulness, and its uniqueness. This will be the best thing you've had since sliced bread. And over here is the drying rack. It's a very primitive form. It's very easy to make. A couple 2x4s, some actual molding strips, a good solid construction, wide enough to hang enough meat, but not too wide that the skewer is going to fall off. These are your basic essential things that you will need to make biltong.
Here we've gone with top round roast boneless beef.
I have approximately, that's good, 4.5 pounds of meat. Now this should be more than enough for the seasoning mix we had. Now that we have our meat ready to cut, discard this. Make sure you've got room to work. Now, look at that. That's a good piece of meat. Now what you want to do is kind of find where the grains are running. This way you can kind of cut against them. That way it makes the meat a little tender, helps it to dry a little faster. Now when you're cutting the meat, you don't want to cut too thick. I'd say no more than say 1/2 inch, but you gotta remember, the thicker you cut it, the longer it takes to dry. So why wait? Cut it thin, it's ready quicker, you can enjoy it faster. Now these strips are coming out rather perfect. You see you got a little bit of tearing from the sawing motion, which is okay. That helps the seasoning to get in there, to penetrate the meat. If you had perfectly cut meat, that kind of hindered its ability to get in there. Now also, as you see, we got about 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit more. That to me is a perfect strip right there. Anything thicker, like I said, takes longer. It gives you more of a chewy center. Kind of gives that soft feeling. I personally enjoy my biltong tough, hard to chew, and delicious. And always remember, watch your fingers. Safety first. Now when I get down to the bottom of this, as you can see, it's going to start making it a little hard to start cutting without maybe putting my fingers in jeopardy. What I'm going to do here is try and remove as much fat as possible, and then we're going to butterfly it. Now again, safety first. Watch your fingers. Fat's gone. That right there is maybe a little too much fat. Like I said, I do like a little bit on there, nice marbling through the meat, but that right there, that's not good eats. Okay, we're gonna try and go with a uniformed setup here. It helps you to track your meat, where you're going, but also we got all this meat for the small area. Now you don't want too big of an area, because like I said, you'll see why in a minute, but it needs to marinate. It needs to be sitting in the juices. They need to be close. They need to enjoy each other. So don't need a lot of space. Just pack them in there. Now the meat is ready for prep. take one of your trays, like so, with all the meat. It's ready to go. Now this may seem like a lot, but trust me, it's not. You want to take your vinegar, open it up. I like to go with a nice malt vinegar from the London pub. It gives you that more traditional British flavor. Now you take this, and you just start pouring on. It's okay, just get it in there. Make sure you coat all the pieces of meat. Now what I'm gonna do is here, I'm just gonna do traditional biltong. It's just gonna be the seasoning on here, making it good. In this smaller batch here, we're gonna experiment. We're gonna use a little bit of that chili powder. Like I said, it's just a flavoring ingredient. It's not needed. It doesn't have to be there. It's just to give it a little bit more kick for those maybe like a little something more spicy. That's what that's for. So now you take the mix, pour a little bit into your hands. Here's the mix. Very good. You see a lot of coriander in there, and that's what helps to give it a good flavor. And you just take this mix, you sprinkle it all across the meat. I wish you had smell-o-vision because you could smell this. It's delicious. And make sure you hit every bit of the meat. Get it all around there. Alright, just grab yourself a little bit more if you didn't have enough. Now you don't need to put too much on, because what we're going to do is we're going to flip the meat and we're going to put more on the other side. We're going to double side it. So now that that's ready, you take yourself some tin foil, like so, and just cover it. And again, this is more sanitation than anything. It's just to make sure that nothing falls into the meat. It's just to cover it. Again, it's not necessary you need it. Now what you're going to want to do is every half an hour come back to the meat and flip it. Now on that first half an hour, what we're going to do is we're going to flip it and season the other side. So right now, leave this for approximately half an hour. Okay, now the meat is all prepared, it's all ready to go. It's been going on for 2 hours now. Now what we have to do is take it down, hang it, put the meat onto these skewers and put it on a hanging rack to help it dry. I like to do mine in the basement, have a fan going on it on low. You only need that for a couple days, but we'll go over that in a minute. And you might also want to try using a dehumidifier. That helps to remove a lot of moisture in the air, because moisture is the devil when it comes to this meat. What you're going to want to do, see we got a dehumidifier here, help remove a lot of the moisture. We got a standard old house fan right here to help put air across the meat, help it to dry out a little bit. We got a homemade pad rack here just to line up the skewers and let it dry. We've got the meat. Got a tin foil base here to help catch all the drippings. That's just so we don't stain this wonderful finish on our tabletop here. Alright, and now you just hang the meat. Just skewer the meat and slide it on. That's all you've got to do. Now when you're doing this, you want to leave some separation between the meat. You don't want them touching. You want them to get air in between them. Let them get good and dry. Alright. You don't want too many pieces on there. It will weigh down the skewer and it will cause a little bit of a bend. About 5 pieces there. That's about good. Let it drip off a little bit. And you just stick it on the rack. That's it. That's going to sit for a couple days now. Alright. Now that they're all pad racked and ready to go, all the meat's hanging, all it needs to do now is dry. Just turn your fan on low. You don't need a lot of air going across. Get that set, put your dehumidifier on. And now you're set. You want to leave it a couple days up here and all this meat will be perfect. Now you want to check on your meat after a couple days. Don't eat this after give it at least 2 days, 3 days, depending on the size. Now you come back and you will check it and you will check for doneness. You'll feel it. If it's very squishy, very soft to the touch, you're going to want to leave it. But it gives us about an hour or so and you'll see a crust start to form. It starts to come out very good. And in a couple days, you'll have biltong. It's been about 4 days now since we last laid the meat down here. And as you can see, looks like we got some vultures living in this house because they've already started hitting it up. That's how good this is. Now that the meat is done, I want to take a container to store it in. Now I do not like to use plastic bags because it helps to hold the moisture against the meat. Use something like this, helps to preserve it a little bit longer, makes it last for you a little bit longer. So you just take the meat, put it in here, remove it from the skewer, and you're good to go. When I make biltong, I like to experiment with different flavors, as we did with this batch with the chili. But this is something I like to do at least on a monthly basis, to have some biltong around. Not only is it a part of my tradition, but I really enjoy making it. It's my hobby, my pastime. Now that it's in here, just throw a lid on, if it'll fit, and it's good to go. There we go. We got a nice, good portion of biltong there. Keep it like this, probably last you about a month. Very good stuff. I hope you like what you heard here today, and I hope you try to make some yourself. Like we said, it's not very hard to do, and I hope you enjoy it too. Biltong, it's good stuff.